मीना,
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
मॉर्निंग।
सर मैं एसएससी मिल राइट हूँ, कैरेज वर्कशॉप अजमेर में, क्रेन और ट्रेवसर देख।
अच्छा, बहुत बढ़िया। फिर एसएससी, एआरटी, एआरएमई, बीकेएससी और सुजीत घोष।
मॉर्निंग सर।
मॉर्निंग।
सुजीत घोष, एडीएमई सीएनडब्ल्यू अलीपुरदुआर जंक्शन, एनएफ रेलवे।
वेरी गुड। कोई बच गया? एक दयानंद साहब ज्वाइन किए बीच में, एक चंदन कुमार ज्वाइन किए।
Sir, myself Dayalan from ICF, sir, SSC. Looking for the
हाँ,
particle assembly.
I got the message. Very good. And there's one Mr. Chandan Kumar, I think, have joined in between. I think we can start.
Morning, sir. Myself, Manu Kumar Gaurav, SSC
हाँ,
CNW New Jalpaiguri.
So good morning, sir. I am Chandan Kumar, sir. CDO 3C, sir.
very good. So I believe I can start.
Good morning,
Shashwat,
sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir. I think we can start, sir. Almost all of the participants have joined.
Okay. So
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Myself, Mauritius Super.
Okay, good morning. I will start straight away with the presentation so that we can do the job. Let us go to code slides. Anybody can see this first slide, fire prevention in Indian Railway coaches?
Yes, sir, we can.
Somebody
Yes, sir.
has to say yes and no. That is the problem. If you people will not say yes and no, then I'll be in no way able to solve the issue. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. It is, sir.
Or should I run the full screen?
Sir, either way is good, sir. There is no issue either way.
मैं चेंज कर दूंगा जहां जरूरत होगी। ठीक है। So let us discuss first thing with which I will require some answers from people. Somebody who has dealt fire earlier. What is fireproofing? Something is written in front of you, don't read it first. If somebody can answer a question, what is fireproofing, that will be better.
Resistance to fire, sir.
Pardon?
Resistance to fire, sir, most of all.
Resistance to fire. No, not that is not fireproofing. The definition of fireproofing is, what is fireproofing? When you say foolproofing, it means even if somebody who doesn't know about the job does this, he will do it correctly. So fireproofing means even if there is a fire, the item will not burn. That is the common conception. Right? Even Wikipedia says, what is fireproofing? Fireproofing is rendering something. It can be a structure, it can be a material, it could be a product, it could be a combination of products, it could be a combination of materials, could be anything which is made resistant to fire or incombustible. It should not burn. That is the basic definition of fireproofing. Somebody wants to say something? Somebody wants to say something else? No. Okay. तो फायर प्रूफिंग होता है पैसिव फायर प्रोटेक्शन मेजर। पैसिव फायर प्रोटेक्शन मेजर होता है जहां आप आग लगने के पहले काम कर रहे होते हैं, आग से बचने के काम कर रहे होते हैं। You are trying to have measures in place where fire is not supposed to grow. It should not act. So first thing, what is fireproof? As a definition, it can be a noun or adjective. Now there are certification listed fireproofing systems which allows the structures to have a fire resistance rating. These two lines that are on your screen that I have just set it highlighted, this say that any system is to be a certified system by somebody, and the system should define the fire resistance rating. Now here comes the game into play. You know that there will be a fire resistance rating where the item will not burn, and there it will say when you pass that rating or cross that level, everything will burn. So in North American construction specification or European specifications or German specification, erstwhile, whatever you read, there will be always a rating. So the general definition as per Wikipedia is that an item is fireproof is only resistant in specified circumstances and may burn or rendered inoperable by fire when it exceeds the intensity or duration that is it is designed to withstand. इसको सरल भाषा में अगर समझाने की कोशिश करें इन सिंपल लैंग्वेज, एनी आइटम कोई भी if there is any product, it will be resistant to fire only up to a certain limit, which will be defined by the certification and the rating levels. Above that, it will also burn away. So basically, there is nothing as fireproof. It depends upon the heat content or the fire intensity, what is going to happen. This is what I have written for Indian Railways also. Nothing is fireproof. Passenger coaches can only be made fire retardant to give more time for safe evacuation from affected coach. If you remember last 2-3 incidents, आखिरी इंसिडेंट किसको याद है फायर का, कहां हुआ है? कोई नहीं बताएगा तो फिर मुझे अपने से पूछना पड़ेगा. Can somebody remember?
सर अभी बिहार में ट्रेनों में आग लगाई वो तो यार.
वेरी गुड, बहुत अच्छा.
नॉट.
क्या किसी कोच को आपने बुझते हुए देखा? Can anybody remember? Okay, Dayalan, I'll try to be only in English. Don't worry. Has anybody ever seen a coach burning? Or what have you seen last about the coaches burning in the last agitation, unfortunate incidents? Okay, Lakshmi, I understand. No, it's a very bad thing to see. When a coach burns, you cannot stop it. It is very difficult to stop the propagation of fire. Yes.
मैं एक केस सर 2008 में कोचिंग डिपो हटिया में जला था सर.
याद है आपको?
हाँ सर, मैं खुद उसको बुझाने की कोशिश किया था सर.
बुझ पाया था?
हाँ सर, बुझा था सर. ये रांची एलटीटी थी सर.
Okay.
उसमें सर दिवाली का दिन था सर, और कुछ एजिटेशन था सर महाराष्ट्र में. तो एलटीटी गाड़ी थी तो उसमें आग लगा दिया था आउटसाइडर से. तो उसमें दो कोच तो कम्प्लीटली मतलब जल के पूरा खाक हो गया था सर. और तीसरा कोच को कुछ पकड़ा था, बाकी को मतलब अलग कर दिया गया था संटिंग करके.
Exactly, you are absolutely right. This is
Yes,
what
sir.
is the only thing one has to attempt. The coach which has caught fire has to be separated. There is no doubt about it. You cannot stop fire. 2 coaches were burnt fully. If you are able to stop propagation of fire in first coach, in any coach in the initial stage, then only you have the chance that you will be able to save the coach. ये जो the word passenger coaches can only be made fire retardant to give some time. You only need some time. Once that time is passed, then this clause applies. Exceeding the intensity or duration that the product is designed to withstand. Okay? So please understand, present design of coaches is not meant to be fireproof. They are fire retardant. Now, what has been done in this aspect is that over the last 70 years, we've done many things. We were running type of coaches which were wooden, which could be burnt down very easily. Now we have much better coaches, and we have changed the standards also, which I'm talking about here. There are numerous standards. First, we were following UIC, then we changed, are in the process of moving to EN standard. And presently, as I'm talking to you now, still there is one committee which is working on further proliferation of fire standards. Railway Board has set the committee, and it will probably very soon you will have much more changes in your coaches for better fire retardancy. So, yes.
Morning.
Morning. Who is speaking? Con? Yes, Mr. Bhattacharya. What do you want to say?
Nothing, sir. Just.
You've just joined.
Yes.
Okay, don't worry. We have not covered too much. We have covered only 2-3 main aspects. So these are the possible forces of fire on coaches. You can go through inflammable goods which are carried by passengers, lighting a fire or smoking in coaches, coals or kerosene stoves, electrical equipment and cabling of the coach also, the cooking gas in pantry cars, the generators in power cars, even locomotive fires were there. Now it is not that relevant item, and miscreant activities and vandalism, which is the prominent item. Matlab, if I consider last 6-7 cases, either they are because of this lighting of fire or smoking in coaches, or because of the miscreant activity and vandalism. It is usually aided, supported by the soft luggages and clothes of passengers, newspapers, magazines, linen, and coach furnishing material. These 2 aspects are something we'll talk about just in next 10 slides. So fire will start probably with some of this place, and it will be helped by these items. Now we come to what is the fire safety objective. The first thing, that fire and explosion should not occur. Explosion word is not for an explosion, it is basically for an explosion of fire element. We have to reduce the risk of life. That is the second most important part. If the fire has started, life should not be damaged in any case. The third comes, if the fire has started and lives have been saved, then the damage risks should be minimum. Then comes the fourth part, to contain and control and suppress this fire. and the parallel work is providing adequate, readily accessible means for escape of passengers. This is the broad guidelines which is followed all over the world for that matter. Any standard which has, if you take up, their fire safety objectives will be the same. There should be no occurrence. If there is an occurrence, life should not be lost. Damage should be minimum. Containment efforts, suppression efforts should be as quick as possible and very effective, and then adequate, readily accessible means for escape of passengers should be there. Now, if I try to put the objective and the target solutions in terms of Indian Railways, how to prevent the occurrence? You see, some solutions are like regular checking should be done by RPF and trained staff, vigilance by staff and passengers on fire safety measures. Now, this is something which is a general object. Every citizen of India who is traveling in a Indian Railway train is responsible some way for this. And people should avoid an act which creates fire. Now comes the second object, the reducing the risk of life caused by fire. How to do this? This is something where your role as engineers in the coaching segment or the rolling stock segment comes into play. You have to have a system of early morning and early evacuation, considering that there are children, old people, the young people in your train. They will require some time to get out. If they are warned early and they are given a measure to come out of the coach which is supposed to burn away in any case, they will be saved. So how to give this early warning and evacuation, we'll come to it. The next objective was reducing the risk of damage. This will involve some standard words. Material strength should be better to resist fire. Extinguishing by self means even if a fire comes to a seat and berth or it comes to a panel, it should not spread. It should get extinguished by itself. The material should be such good material that even if it catches fire, it does not aid the fire to grow. It gets corrected by itself. And there should be less toxic fumes. Fumes issue will also take up in the subject specification. Then comes the contain, control and suppress fire. You should have extinguishing aids and extinguishing systems. Can somebody tell me what is the extinguishing aid?
फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर.
वेरी गुड. कौन था?
लक्ष्मी नारायण सर.
एटलीस्ट कुछ बोल दिया करिए कोई लोग. Fire extinguisher is the first aid you get. But has somebody done this fire safety course? Somebody was from workshop in dealing with safety? अजमेर वर्कशॉप से एसएससी सेफ्टी कौन थे?
यस सर, अतुल कुमार गुप्ता सर. जी सर.
फायर सेफ्टी में पहला एक मेजर क्या सिखाया जाता है?
सर ये फायर जो एक्सटिंग्विशर होते हैं उनको चलाना सिखाते हैं और बाकी वाटर रिटार्डेंट की इनकी ट्रेनिंग करते हैं कि किस तरह से आग लगता है. तो कब सबसे पहले
अच्छा मान लीजिए कोई जल गया है तो उसके लिए क्या
प्रेशर जलने के लिए वो फर्स्ट एड के लिए भेज देते हैं. उनके
कंबल डाल देते हैं. कंबल डालते हैं कि नहीं डालते हैं? डू यू पुट द ब्लैंकेट नॉट?
हाँ सर. हाँ सर.
और इज द ब्लैंकेट अवेलेबल इन? Is the blanket available in coach?
Only
Somebody?
in AC coaches it will be available.
Yes. So I am just talking about this vigilant part. Vigilance by railway staff regarding possible extinguishing aids. See, one thing will be very sure. When I'll be covering that specification portion, I'll tell you how those things have been defined. The standard parameter I am going to tell you now itself. It is 60 seconds. The early warning should come up within 60 seconds of the first fire explosion occurrence. That is the standard. Whatever fire protection system, these kind of systems that we are putting in place in coaches are put, they should respond within 60 seconds of the threshold level of the fire coming up. I'm not going to go further detail into this, but if just understand a warning has been initiated by an extinguishing system, the vigilant people have to use this to come down. And then one of the fire extinguishing system with AC coaches, I'll tell you, providing adequate and readily accessible means of escape for passengers is the last objective. So this escape routes, identification, safety process, etc. Must be in place. I will ask a few questions after we come into this part of the presentation. So if I convert the earlier target solutions to specifically these 4 parts, somewhere where we are directly involved as the people who are running the trains and asking people to come in their train, we take money from them, ask them to travel in our train. So it's our responsibility that these things must be in place. So these can be converted into strategies for coaches. Prevent fire initiation and propagation. Find out which are the possible fire sources using fire retardant material and staff to be vigilant. Quick detection of fire systems. We have now some type of detectors with alarm which can apply brake also. We have a fire detection system for pantry and power car coaches, and then the quick and safe evacuations which are to be provided for when this kind of need is required. These should be clearly visible, should be unobstructed, and the fumes and smoke from the material should be as low as possible. Why? Because one of the most important causes of death in cases of fire is not by burning, but because of asphyxiation. People get faint because of these fumes and smoke. They are not able to get oxygen. So they are not able to run, they are not able to react properly. And so they are caught in a fire and then they burn away. So the first death occurs because of this toxicity and fumes. This should be as low as possible. So if I come to now the furnishing items, what should be the fire retardant properties of furnishing items? The first thing is less ignitability. They should not ignite. They should not get fire easily. They should not be able to burn very quickly. The second is delaying, retarding, stopping the propagation of fire. If they catch fire, it should either stop it or should resist it. Fire should not be very free to move across a material. Then the portion of the material which is burnt, the toxicity should be as less as possible. Second, even if fumes are released, the visibility should not be affected. and it should contribute to bring down the level of, it should contribute the least minimum effect of bringing down oxygen levels. Second last point, the burning should not melt and drop and form a carbonaceous char. It will further impair the visibility. And the furnishing material of the coach area should be able to withstand the elevated temperatures to avoid the propagation of fire from one coach to another. In fact, if you remember, the first slide that I said, certification and fire rating words. These are all applicable on all these properties. If the temperatures go beyond the level, it will definitely go ahead. You should have the time to separate the coaches which are burning from the coaches which are to be saved. If you don't get the time, you cannot do even this part. So the fire retardancy norms is something something that we should be very aware of, because these are the guiding principles for fire safety in Indian Railway coaches, and presently you should be very well aware of them. You will be surprised that only flammability tests were specified up to year 2004. Other properties like fire, smoke and toxicity were not specified. These three properties. RDSO took up the measure. They took up a consultancy in 2004. They submitted their recommendation. Railway board have considered and approved these for implementation to PUs and railways. What is this word FST? Can somebody tell me? FST. Fire, smoke and toxicity. और ये शब्द, please try to remember this word, because this will be an important word when you will be discussing the specifications. Everyone talks about only these two things: the fire, the smoke and the toxicity. These three properties. These were first streamlined as per UIC norms and circulated in 2007-8 for implementation. Present day coaches are confirming the 4 properties of UIC norms for all these properties of fire retardancy for majority of the material that you will just see. One thing is UIC 564-2 OR, which is regulation relating to fire protection and measures in a passenger carrying vehicle. So what did we adopt? We adopted 4 properties of UIC. This resistance to spread of flame. You can remember what we talked about. Earlier specified value was class B. It has now been upgraded to class A as per UIC 564-2 OR. The second property is deterioration in visibility due to smoke. धुआं नहीं उठना चाहिए. वो पहले class B था, now it is class A, and it is governed by the test standard appendix 15 of UIC 564-2 OR. Then the third property is limiting oxygen index. It was earlier specified as class B. The value was 28 and upgraded value is 35. It is governed by appendix 7 of UIC as well as IS standard 13501 and IS 13360. And the fourth property which is taken up is toxicity. Now, this toxicity is not specified in UIC. It is basically a naval standard. NCD is basically not a UIC standard. It is a naval standard for materials that are used in ships. It was in ships, the standard is less than 4. Railways took up a standard of less than 1. How do you test it? It is specified in this NCT. I will show you how it is tested. These 4 tests have been taken in compliance of UIC 4R by the railways in 2007. So now nobody can say that our material is bad. They will meet this level of safety. Okay, there is a question nobody have asked, so I will ask. Limiting oxygen index. Before answering what is a limiting oxygen index, I want to know how much is the percentage of oxygen available in atmosphere.
%21%, sir.
Good. लेकिन ये थोड़ा पुरानी खबर है. There's an old standard. Oxygen have reduced as per latest declarations by the weather forecasters. Climate change has affected it. Is now less than 20. ऑक्सीजन आपके आसपास की हवा में लगभग 20% होती है. इस चीज का ध्यान रखिए. और ऑक्सीजन जलाने के लिए जरूरी भी है. तो अगर ऑक्सीजन हट जाएगी तो if there is no oxygen then there will be no fire, but if there will be no oxygen people will die. Just imagine the class B standard says it should be 28% and class A value is minimum 35% of oxygen. So if you prepare a material to class A, it will require huge amount of oxygen to burn, which means it will not burn in 20% of oxygen. Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Sir.
Somebody will have to explain how. अगर एटमॉस्फेयर में 20% ऑक्सीजन है और आपको मैंने लिमिटिंग ऑक्सीजन वैल्यू के क्लास बी के मटेरियल में 28% ऑक्सीजन स्पेसिफाई की है या क्लास ए के मटेरियल में मिनिमम 35% ऑक्सीजन स्पेसिफाई की है, तो वो मटेरियल जलेगा कि नहीं जलेगा?
That material requires minimum of 35% of oxygen in the air. Then only it will catch fire or it will continue to fire.
It will get extinguished.
Yeah.
So then, if all of your coaches are covered by a limiting oxygen index minimum 35 or 28 type material, why does your coach burn away? धर्मेंद्र जी, कोच जल गया था ना?
Mr. Dharmendra Kumar, please go ahead.
नहीं समझे. धर्मेंद्र जी अनम्यूट करके बोलिए, आपके कोच जल गए थे ना? अच्छा, कोई और भी बोलना चाहे तो बोल सकता है. You people must have seen your coaches have burnt away. In the last agitation also around I think 100 or more coaches have been burnt ना? आपके जो 100 कोच से ज्यादा जल गए, वो क्यों जल गए? इस बात का कोई उत्तर देगा? नहीं है तो यहां पे है हीट रिलीज रेट. ये एक स्टैंडर्ड है जो भारतीय रेल ने, दिस हैज बीन एडेड रिसेंटली, अभी जोड़ा गया है. इसको कहते हैं माहरे स्टैंडर्ड. EN 45545 के हिसाब से as it has been added, and this is supposed to give the average rate of heat emitted. And if you remember the first slide, I said it will be rendered inoperable by fire exceeding the intensity or duration that it is designed to withstand. ऐसे केसेस हुए जहां आपका हीट इनपुट इतना ज्यादा हो गया, it became so high that these parameters succumbed at that level. So this thing has been added in 2012 to 2015 in many standards, so that another safety measure is get into place. Now we'll study what is resistance to spread of flame in terms of this respective appendix, how it is tested and what it is done. If you take a piece of your floorboard or your panel or your seat cover or anything, this feature says that the material burns slowly, takes longer time, and it self extinguishes when the fire source is removed. आपने एक पीस लिया, उसको आग में लगाया, वो धीरे धीरे जलेगा, ज्यादा समय लेगा, और जैसे ही आग हटाई जाएगी वो खुद से बुझ भी जाएगा. ये जो पॉइंट्स होते हैं, इसमें वो कितनी देर में बुझता है फ्लेम हटने के बाद, फिर उसका एरिया कितना हुआ जिससे वो जला, और जलने के बाद उसमें से ड्रॉप्स गिरे या पार्टिकल गिरे या नहीं गिरे, और जब वो अगर वो थिक स्पेसिमेन है तो क्या वो नीचे से जलाने पे ऊपर तक जला कि नहीं बला. We measured these 3-4 things: the time, the area, the burning drop particles, and whether the specimen will burn through upper surface or not if it's a thick material. It is class A when it is tested. It's a simpler test. You apply a flame to a piece, sample piece as per defined standard practice, and if the material is taking how much time and how much area, and by that calculation you say whether it is class A or class B or class C. Then the second property is invisibility due to smoke. There will be a deterioration in visibility due to smoke. This is measured by passing the light of known intensity. Now what we do in this test is we take a compartment, we burn some material, and then we pass 100 lux of light through it, and we try to see how much light passes through. So this will tell us how much the smoke has come up in a small area, and that it will define how much is the intensity of the smoke, whether it will be difficult for people to see in that smoke or not, whether that smoke will affect the respiration of the passengers or not. That is why it is very important. Now the point is, we can definitely put measures, but still there will be passengers belonging which will generate a loss of smoke. Railways have no control over these items. So you will have to assume that our material, the railway put material, should be very, generating very little smoke. That is measured through this lux rating, E4. How is it measured? This is the parameter of how it is measured. You take this kind of box. At one corner of the box, this side, you put this material. This is the sample holder, and you put a flame in it. And then how much time does it take at various levels of light to pass through when a material is fully burnt. This way you get the material, and you understand that if it is greater than 50, for a time of 300 seconds, you are aerating. If a time is 300 minutes, for 150 to 300 minutes, and the visibility is reducing than 50, still it is more than 50, then it is B. And for time this and this, it is class C. This way we specify the material in this standard of Appendix 15 UIC 564-2. The third property is limiting oxygen index. This is defined, as you already know, percentage of oxygen in air. Minimum requirement is 35 for class A as per Appendix 7. Incidentally, it was 21%. Now I'll change it to 20% because people have said that oxygen is reducing in air. Even as per IS standard, it is minimum 35 for all furnishing material that is put in the Indian Railway coaches. The test method is very simple. To define the oxygen number, we, as accurately as possible, these are classified and we burn the material in different oxygen environments. A closed chamber, we take a closed chamber, change the percentage of oxygen, burn the material, see how much it burns. We again change the percentage of oxygen, we see how much it is burned, and then we define and take the average by the volumetric airflow of oxygen and nitrogen and see how much the material has burnt. So then by that sample calculation, we get this limiting oxygen index. Now comes toxicity. The measurement of toxicity is a very difficult part, as if you remember when I was talking here, toxicity is a naval standard. This standard is tested where a sample is burned in a specific test condition of 1200 degrees centigrade temperature. All the gases that are emitted are collected and analyzed for composition and concentration using Drager tubes. See what happens when a material is burning and it is now beyond your control to stop the material. It will definitely burn away to basic elements: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, fluorine, anything. To the basic element, the material is off. That it will go up to. So I have to measure how dangerous the fume is. So that's why I know I need to measure all these gases and collect and analyze these percentage. Any compound which will burn, it will give this cocktail of gases which is very dangerous for humans. And especially in your coach, when you know that the area is very restricted, even when you sit or sleep, you know how difficult it is. So in a very small space where you keep 8 people in that 3 by 2 and by 3 area, and they are supposed to be exposed to a difficult time, then this gas measurement, toxicity measurement becomes very important. What is done? We have actually 2 standards. One is NCT 1409 and the other is the EN 455 toxicity measure, which is called the smoke chamber measure. This is measured as the tube furnace method. There are both the measures. Presently, as per NCT, we have been specified this measure. The NCT measure is measuring basically 14 gases. These 14 gases. As per EN, we measure only 8 gases. But why this is different, that I'll tell you separately. As per NCT, we have to take those Drager tubes for each gas and measure how much ppm of this gas is there. You can see the gases: carbon dioxide, monoxide, hydrogen fluoride, hydrogen chloride, hydrogen bromide fume, hydrogen cyanide fume, nitrogen oxide fumes, sulfur dioxide fumes, formaldehyde fumes, ammonia fumes, acronitrile, hydrogen sulfide, phenol, phosgene. Such kind of dangerous gases are involved when your material is burning at your maximum potential and emitting such dangerous fumes. We need to measure how much gases will come out and then say whether our material which is to be put in a coach is safe or not. We measure their ppm, we give them a value, and then an arithmetic mean of all the values is taken. That should be less than 1. This level of less than 1 is another standard. It says it will give a time of 25 to 30 minutes to passengers to go out of the coach. If you are able to give at least half an hour for every passenger to get away of this caught fire coach, at least you will not have death. And because of toxicity. Does anyone have a question on all these 4 tests?
Sir?
Yes.
These tests, the toxicity test and all will be done only for the materials, furnished materials of railway coaches, sir. But what about for the belongings of passengers, for the entire coach, considering whether any test is done considering the passenger belongings also?
No, you cannot. You cannot. When you issue a ticket to a passenger, you can travel in your train. You give him an authority to travel in a train, and you can only tell him, please don't bring these items.
Okay.
That's all. You are in a transportation sector. You can only plan for one thing. What actually is done in this case? If you have asked, I'll answer. The calculation is done for fire load. Have you heard of the term fire load? Can somebody tell me what is a fire load? Nobody knows. I'll tell you. We take another statistics into picture. For a coach, assume it's a normal second AC coach, say. So you will have 50 berths roughly, and 50 seat and berths. Then there will be 8 or 9 compartments there, depending upon type of coach. You will have a AC panel. You will have a switchboard. You will have 4 toilets. You will have wirings. So all these elements are already there in a coach. Okay? And we calculate that if these people catch fire based upon their calorific values, how much heat will they generate? Then we calculate whether for that entire volume of the coach, that heat generated only by railway material is up to which level. Then we assume that there will be at least 50 or 60 passengers there, and everyone will bring at least 10 kg of substantial material which is which could be fire prone, assuming that it will be of the last category, very worst category. It will generate this much of fire load. So if both of the fire load added together still makes it safe as per the fire extinguishing system design, then you go through. Am I clear?
Okay, sir.
Now, who said okay?
Myself, Dayalan, sir.
सर पीएम भट्टाचार्य सर इससे
Yes.
रामापुर में अभी जो बर्निंग हुई है 2020 और 19 की कोचेस।
हाँ बिल्कुल।
तो ये मटेरियल लगे हुए थे सर।
बिल्कुल
फिर भी इतना भयानक दे दिया सर।
बिल्कुल। अगर आपको भी ध्यान हो, मैंने पहली स्लाइड ही ये कही थी, कोई भी आइटम पक्का जल जाएगा यदि उसमें जो आग लगी है वो अपने इंटेंसिटी में या ड्यूरेशन में ज्यादा हो जाए उस तुलना में जितनी देर के लिए ये मटेरियल डिफाइन किया गया है। अब अगर आपने अपना मटेरियल क्लास ए के लिए डिफाइन किया है तो क्लास ए में फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे मैंने अभी आपको ये दिखाया ना, ये स्मोक का लेवल दिखाया या ये टॉक्सिसिटी का लेवल दिखाया
टेम्परेचर
या ये टेम्परेचर दिखाया 1200 का, तो ये गैसेस तो आएंगी ना। जैसे एक 30 मिनट तक के लिए ही आपको छूट मिलेगी लेस देन टॉक्सिसिटी 1 के मटेरियल में। इसके 30 मिनट के बाद जो धुआं निकलेगा वो धुआं भयंकर टॉक्सिक होगा।
That time is important.
Everything is important, not only time. And now because you have come rightly to the subject, let us come to the fifth property, determination of heat released criteria. Now this is one thing which was missing as per UIC standards and DSO had later incorporated it. In fact, you should understand how important this is, that we have as Indian Railways promised to Supreme Court that this will be complied. What is done in this test as per ISO 5660? हमने मतलब भारत सरकार ने सुप्रीम कोर्ट से प्रॉमिस किया है कि भारतीय रेल के मटेरियलों में ये पांचवा टेस्ट कंप्लाई किया जाएगा। इतना इंपॉर्टेंट है ये कि जितनी गर्मी पैदा होगी, द हीट रिलीज विल बी डन बाय द कोन कैलोरीमीटर टेस्ट एज पर दिस IS. What is done in this test? The material is actually put under a constant radiant heat flux. A special method is done where the incident heat flux is selected for different type of material. There are actually I think 30 type of heat fluxes defined for different material of the coaches, including undergear and other parts. मतलब एक SSC बोगी है ना हमारे यहाँ, बोगी सेक्शन कौन देख रहे थे? नितिन तालेकर?
यस सर।
बोगी में ऐसे कौन सी चीजें हैं जो आप पकड़ लेती हैं? What kind of things catch fire?
Please sir.
When we go in this ISO standard, we find that almost all the things that are in any passenger carrying vehicle are covered for different radiant heat flux and what will be the calculation parameter for heat released and for what time. Everything. The incident heat flux is chosen, everything as per the end use of the material for walls, the floors, the electrotechnical equipment, the mechanical pieces, the seat and berth. This method is used to test everything now. This is the apparatus. This is how the incident heat flux is defined. So much calculated amount of gases are sent so that the incident heat flux remains same in the test. Now I'll show you this part, the fire retardant furnishing material which are used in Indian coaches. Let me tell you one thing. Everybody who is in coaching side, everybody, whosoever, you should remember this table. There is no other way out. There is no other way out. You should understand that the curtain fabric, as per this RDSO specification, is now a class A material. The retardant upholstery as per RDSO specification is again now class A material. The strain proof retardant for upholstery cloth is now again a class A material. And you see this R1, R21, R21, R1, these are the incident heat flux testing parameters as per the ISO guidelines. The NAFT roof sealing as per RDSO's rating should be this, all class A. And how will you check it? Can somebody have an idea? नहीं है ना आइडिया, यही प्रॉब्लम है. आपके पास जो सामान आता है, तो भी सामान, उसका टेस्ट सर्टिफिकेट देना कंपलसरी है. भट्टाचार्य जी,
सर टेस्ट सर्टिफिकेट
आपके जो कोच जले हैं ना
सर,
वो सब कोच किसी ना किसी पीयू ने बना के भेजे हैं. आरसीएफ ने या आईसीएफ ने या एमसीएफ ने, किसी ने बना के भेजे हैं ना. उसके जो किताब है उस कोच के बनने की, जिसको वो कहते हैं ना रोलिंग स्टॉक सर्टिफिकेट, उसके साथ उस मटेरियल के सारे टेस्ट सर्टिफिकेट आपके पास आते हैं. आप मांगिए, नहीं आए हैं तो पीयू से मांगिए और पूछिए कि ये मटेरियल इस क्लास का है भी कि नहीं है, किसने सर्टिफाई किया है, एक बार ढूंढिए. मान के मत चलिए कि किसी ने ये किया है. ठीक है?
मैन्युफैक्चरर ने सबमिट किया होगा सर.
हाँ बिल्कुल, मैन्युफैक्चरर हैज टू सबमिट दिस टेस्ट रिपोर्ट्स. इट इज कंपल्सरी एज पर RDSO स्पेसिफिकेशन. Yes, your coach can burn. I agree. Because finality is fire. Nobody has ever been able to win fire. Matlab, if you know, even America cannot extinguish its fire in forests. It takes them days together to do that. So if there is a fire, and actually the big fire, it's not so simple to do it. I was just seeing one of those videos in this agitation cages in one of the station. Some pantry car was burning, and somebody standing on the platform was throwing these plastic water bottles into the fire, that one full pack, opening and throwing, opening and throwing. What will 1 liter of, even if there are 30 liter of water, what will it do to that pantry car burning fully? That is where we do not understand and act upon the fire load characteristics and extinguishing characteristics. If time will permit, I will try to cover that aspect also, but let's see. This slide, the importance of this slide is that everyone should know what material you have put and how it is supposed to perform. There are some things which are having, see, different ratings. Some are still class B. It is not that everything has been converted, because it is one well-known fact that some material cannot be converted because of their inherent chemical properties. They cannot be made class A in some properties, not everywhere. So this brings us to the first part that we were discussing, the fire properties. What type of material, how they have to be vigilant, how do we have to see that fire does not initiate, how the material should be made that the material is retardant. This is only with regard to material properties. Now what happens next? Okay, we have a good material. We will know, we will get an alarm, but still a fire takes up. Some short circuit has happened, and fire will come up. And people are sleeping. People will sleep in the night. By the time the smoke and fumes are already 15 minutes into the system, you will be left with only 15 minutes to tell the passengers to wake up and run away. God forbid there is a person who is having some kind of problem. He's not absolutely fit to run. He will not be able to run. So we want an early warning detection. And there should be an alarm. So this is the next part which stays of the fire prevention measures, where if a fire has started, the heat detecting alarm or the smoke detectors should come into play and tell us what is to be done. Now there are many type of fire detectors. There are heat detectors. There is a ionization smoke detectors, which measures the ionized particle principles of smoke and then tells whether a fire is there or not. The word is incipient stage, very starting stage. The word incipient means at the very starting stage we know that a fire will now occur. Then there are optical smoke detectors, which use light scattered by the smoke particles, like laser beam is an advanced stage of these kind of detectors. Then there is a photo detector, which sees the heat sensing element and measure it with the actual status of the smoke in the chamber which is filled with it. Then there are flame detectors, which are obviously very used in a different kind of environment when you will have a flame. Then there is a linear heat detector. Coaching side can tell me, have you seen this LHD or not? They are put in pressurized tubings, in cables, in fiber optic cables, where you can find the heat. If it is increasing in some portion, you can get a signal, an alarm. Now for Indian Railway coaches, we had this layout for a 3-tier AC or second AC coach with this pipe and this sampling points, capillary sampling points, where you sucked in the air of this coach and measured in this BESDA detector in this control panel of system. And by that gas you need to by that sample you need to you got the signal. When it has reached the threshold alarm, the signal used to activate, yes, there is a possibility of a smoke, please act accordingly. This is for a first AC coach. There is a change now. These toilet points are supposed HASP, the heat activated sampling points, are now to be changed to capillary again. So people will have to be alert that if this change is to be done, why it has not been done in your coach. And it is to be done because if somebody will be using that cigarette cork here, the fire alarm will come up. So this is one change which RDSO has affected last year and advised all railways to do. You have to change this detector here. So the problem of smoking in toilets will not cause fire. People will get an alarm now. Similarly, for a first AC coach or a pantry car coach, you have this kind of system, same aspiration type system. And for a brake van also. Usually what is done, that this portion in the luggage compartment is not there. RDSO has latest tell them ki either you put this or you can put the electricity cable again, because they can sense heat and then stop it. What happens in a system of AC coaches to give an alarm? It is a multi-level alarm. The word which is used is obscuration. Obscuration is not kind of a fog or smoke type of thing that you pick up from the coach and then measure it whether its percentage is high or not. If the percentage of obscuration per meter is 0.35 plus minus 0.5 for a continuous 20-second period, then an alert has to be activated. If the obscuration is 0.6 plus minus 0.05 for a delay period of 30 seconds, the VESDA system, that control panel, must give an alarm that the coach is now going to burn, please move fast. And if this value becomes 1.6 plus minus 0.5 for 45 seconds continuously, these parameters have been tested on Rajdhani coaches for at least 3 years before deciding and finalizing. Many teams of RDSOs have done this job, and then these parameters have been fitted for AC coaches of Indian Railways. If there is a fire, the system will give a measure and people will have to get down, and all of it is specified in that specification. Now this is the working principle of this diagram. Here is the inlet, air inlet port, which you draw from the coach. It goes inside the aspirator, it is filtered, and then it is measured, and then as per the logic circuit diagram, it gives the signal. Whatever signal has to be given. It is an alert or not, it is fire case or not. Those levels of alert are defined here in this programmed chip. This is the schematic error. Just to explain, these are the pipelines. These are the sampling points. If the system is working, this all air will be sucked up in through this, comes here, comes in this air inlet hole, and it is detected here. Now, what are the features of the system and what is the limitation of the system? That is to be understood. The feature, it is very sensitive. It gives very early warning. More response time is available for rescue and other controlling measures. Countermeasures means where you get more time to suppress the fire in the initial stage. There were 4 programmed levels. We use only 3. That is a central monitor in pantry car or SLR for one full rake system, and when you separate the coach, then there has to be a coach-wise system. False alarm probability is very less, and self-diagnostic of a fault is there defined in the system. These are the features of the smoke and fire detection systems that are put in the AC and the power car and the pantry coaches. Now, what is the limitation? The limitation is that the exact location of fire event in a coach is not possible, because you don't know air has come from this toilet or air has come from this toilet. You will know that this coach has a problem. It could be from a passenger area, it could be from a toilet, it could be from a wiring switchboard cabinet, it could be anywhere. That is the problem. It is suitable for a controlled environment, for AC coaches only. Yes, because if the air is not closed, say for example a non-AC coach where windows are open, the outside smoke comes and activates the system. So this kind of system, the smoke and fire detection aspiration system, is good for AC coaches only. It is not good for non-AC coaches. It is also not suitable for fire caused due to miscreant and vandalism activities. Okay, Mr. Bhattacharya.
Yes, sir.
When those coaches were which were burnt in agitation, is the fire systems working in those coaches?
Probably not, because the coaches are stable, sir.
So what?
Coaches are stable in the near platform.
For how long time? Was there not even a single coach which was there available for less than 24 hours? Why I am asking this question, please understand.
Sir.
The inbuilt battery system as per the RDSO specification says for 24 hours, even if there is no power supply to the coach, the system should function and record the data. So if a coach was standing for say 12 hours and then somebody started throwing petrol fire bottles on this coach and the coach caught fire, did the system got activate or not?
होना चाहिए सर, होगा, because the battery will run.
Unless the battery itself is defective and somebody has not taken care to make it active for the period when the coach is not working. Right?
Exactly, sir.
That part needs to be seen. Yes, this kind of system is not suitable for fire caused due to vandalism. True. But yes, it will still give a signal. And then it is also not suitable for a fire in coach where a pantry car type of thing, some petrol or explosive material is there. It will be so quick that even the system will not be able to respond, because we have set this time levels here and these time levels are too big for an explosive type of fire. It will not detect bombs. So these are the some limitations as per general. And for India specific problems, we know we have an AC train and a non-AC coach also. We don't have, presently we have nothing for non-AC, but I would like to add at this point of time that RDSO has already cleared point type detectors for non-AC. So probably non-AC will have this optical point type detectors that I was talking about. This kind of heat detectors for non-AC coaches. Somebody has cleared the parameter now. Then open coaches have varying temperature. There is a seasonal variation in India, from Jammu and Kashmir to right up to Kanyakumari, and then from Guwahati to Dwarka. The temperature is different. The coaches are working in different ways. So the temperature based sensing will differ. You have to be very sure of the false solutions that you get into. You cannot have a smoke in a non-AC coach. Late detection will occur, so you will be having or no detection, then you will not be having the benefit of early detection. And for AC coach also, the sensitivity of the equipment has to be very, very closely monitored. Why I need write this? Because for an AC coach, I don't know how people maintain, but you should measure the airflow indications every schedule. Can somebody say they do this or not? कोच का सोल्यूशन जो लोग करते हैं, जो कोच का आप लोग मेंटेनेंस करते हैं, उसके अलग अलग शेड्यूल हैं, एबीसी उसका, आईसीएफ वाले का, या D1 D2 शेड्यूल जो उसके हैं एलएचबी टाइप के, उस समय में आप लोग इन सिस्टम्स में एयर फ्लो मेजरमेंट्स कराते हैं कि नहीं कराते हैं? और अगर ऐसे कोच में आग लगती है, if such coaches catch fire, then where the system itself has become deficient, so then you will not have the proper response times. These are the two specifications issued by RDSO. This needs to be studied in detail every time. Latest revisions will have probably come up by now that need to be studied and checked. Now we come to the third part. What are the other measures which have been incorporated? We are now on the process of putting another PU foam with a fire barrier cloth to further stop fire by C10 bursts. We have selected another material, the glass fiber reinforced elastomer GFRE for ceiling material and panel material. Then this is one thing which is I find usually during inspections, that the compartment doors, one thing that I need to say in safety measure, should be done away with that. It should be both side opening. This body side door should have only one latch at the top, not at the bottom, because that is required for early evacuation. Then fire retardant linen specification has been revised. If that gets approved, then Railway Board will give us new linen, slightly costlier, yes, but again it will not catch fire so easily. This bidirectional swing door, compartment door, should be working as bidirectional only. It should never be converted into one side opening because you don't have the material. Then fluorescent signage on for the passengers, when if there is a smoke, then this must be there in the coaches. The number of emergency exits are specified. They should be tested each and every time you get an opportunity as per the scheduled parameters. Railway is working upon all this vehicle design, material control, detection system, suppression system, evacuation improvements, fire barriers and doors. The part of what you asked, awareness of passengers and limitations of soft luggage of passengers, which are very dangerous for fire, need to be done accordingly. They have to be dealt further, yes. And the role of onboard staff need to be better trained, and more vigilant people should be put so that they are able to understand the system and fires safety measures very quickly. Railway is still working on European specification adoption. It has many levels. We've already done that Mahare level, and if we are able to do it, we'll be able to move to the next level of safety. Let's see what board decides. Then fire labs are to be set up at various places, because the tests that I have told you are very difficult tests. Some of them are costly. The toxicity tests are a costly test, so they need to be done. And then development of comprehensive fire safety plans for Indian Railways need to be done. All railway people, whether in divisions, in open line and zone, they see what kind of fire occurs. So you must write down on a piece of paper and submit it to your bosses how the fire have occurred and what could have been done to save the fire. These kind of inputs will one day come into definitely in this comprehensive fire safety plan. Because the loss of fire, the property gone is gone. So if you have any questions, we can discuss, or if possible, we can discuss that some sample cases also.
सर जो आपने ये बताया कोचेज में FSDS सिस्टम लगा हुआ है, तो इसका सर शेड्यूल कितने टाइम में होना चाहिए?
इसके शेड्यूल RDSO के स्पेसिफिकेशन में लिखा हुआ है। A शेड्यूल में क्या करना है, B शेड्यूल में क्या करना है, C शेड्यूल में क्या करना है।
सर इसमें शेड्यूल कितने टाइम में होना चाहिए? D2 शेड्यूल होना चाहिए या D3, ऐसा कुछ है इसमें?
हर शेड्यूल में क्या क्या होना है ये लिखा हुआ है।
टाइम पीरियड,
हाँ, टाइम पीरियड के हिसाब से लिखा हुआ है। इस स्पेसिफिकेशन में ये लिखा हुआ है कि इस सिस्टम में ये वाला काम A शेड्यूल में करना है, B शेड्यूल में ये वाला काम भी करना है और वो वाला भी करना है। जैसे रेलवे के बाकी शेड्यूल्स किए जाते हैं, वैसे ही ये वाले में भी लिखा हुआ है। बस होना चाहिए स्पेसिफिकेशन, लेकिन इस समय नहीं। स्पेसिफिकेशन की कॉपी मिल जाएगी प्रोफेसर साहब, शाश्वत?
Good morning, sir. Yes, sir.
मॉर्निंग। स्पेसिफिकेशन की कॉपी तो मिल ही जाएगी। पढ़ लें उसमें जो इस चीज का आंसर बहुत क्लियरली लिखा हुआ है कि किस शेड्यूल में क्या करना है और कैसे करना है, ये भी लिखा हुआ है नेक्स्चर में।
Okay, right, sir. Right, sir.
It is also written।
और सर उसके लिए स्टाफ भी अलग से?
स्टाफ तो किसी को नहीं मिलता है। किसको स्टाफ चाहिए था? किसने स्टाफ मांगा? कोई बात नहीं, बोल दीजिए। गौरव।
हाँ सर।
स्टाफ क्यों चाहिए?
सर कोई D2 शेड्यूल है तो एक जो हमारी ट्रेन होती है उसमें 8-10 AC कोचेज होते हैं।
हाँ,
तो
ठीक
अगर
है।
D2 में शेड्यूल होना है तो इसमें एक ही FSDS में अगर स्मोक नहीं ले रहा है, रिपेयर करना है, तो उसमें आधा 1 घंटा लग जाता है। तो उसके लिए कुछ स्टाफ अवेलेबिलिटी तो?
क्यों? आपका FSDS सिस्टम अंडर वारंटी के बाद AMC में नहीं गया है?
नहीं नहीं सर, हमारे तो सर अभी यहाँ जो इसका एयर फ्लो इंडिकेटर नॉर्मलाइजेशन होता है ना, जो इसका फैन कंट्रोल होता है, उसका सॉफ्टवेयर भी अभी प्रोवाइड नहीं है।
तो भाई आपने कोच का बिल क्यों पास कर दिया? मत करते। इसने जिसने लगा के दिया है आपको, जिस पीयू ने, उसका सर खा जाइए। प्लीज डोंट लीव द पीयू। And let me tell you, what I am telling you is very clearly written in the RDSO specification. If it is not being done, finally you will be only caught hold of why it is not being done.
Okay, sir.
That is and it is also clear you will not get manpower. Forget it.
Okay, sir. Okay.
It is absolutely clear, unless you say ki, sir, I will maintain it myself. But and I'll tell you, if you maintain it yourself, you will do it a better job. But then you will have to have only a feel of the system. That's all. We should not be afraid of doing it ourselves. Then probably you will require only 2 men, not much, because you will do a very fairly good job. What private people used to do much more than that. Shashwat, could you run that video?
Sir, I've been trying for the last 45 minutes or so, sir, on all the players that I have. Online it says that you can do it in VLC, sir, but I've been trying that repeatedly on my laptop as well as my office computer. It has not been working, sir. I was able to download one file, DAV, and there was one of 1.6 MB.
Leave it. Leave it. Just run the other slide then. That sample cases one.
Right, sir.
I'll stop sharing. Actually, आप लोग के लिए I had brought that CCTV footage of Dehradun Shatabdi. I don't know how many people have you seen it. Then but unfortunately it is not running because of the players problem. It has a software also and it is not getting installed. It is available with your professor. आप लोग जब चाहें उसको अगर डाउनलोड करके टाइम मिलेगा तो आज कल परसों जब मिले देख सकते हैं. That CCTV footage shows how the passenger responded when the fire system got activated. They were going very easily out, taking their luggage, and the coach was separated, and then that coach got burnt after 3 hours. This is one case which I would have liked to discuss. I have the report also. Where is the report? Report. Inbox report. No, it is not there. There is report. Senior Demi Delhi.
Sir, was this the slide you wanted to see, sir?
No, I'll run the slide myself. Don't worry. I found the slide. I was trying to look for that report, but let's see what generally I have to explain. I'll just cover this part very quickly. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
Okay. And we'll very quickly go through this presentations of other batches. What are the cases and prevention measures? Small statistical data, how many fire cases have been occurring? I'll update it next year. Then what is a fire train and how it is different from other trains? You know that it is a running train. It is more dangerous because it has a fanning effect. Fire spreads very quickly to other coaches. Panic is created. Passengers can jump. So it is an uncontrolled source. Very rapid destruction is possible. Coaches are usually crowded and on the move, so it is very difficult to manage. And officially, a fire train is classified in B1 to B7 category in the accident manual. Type of classification you already know. If you don't know, you should study how it is done, because that you have to write in your reports. Fire is also classified in terms of fuel which is used, because if you don't know what type of fuel has caused the fire, you will know what extinguisher you have to use. The classification is A, B, C, D, K, type of fire, and from what substances it is covering, what kind of fire extinguisher is to be used. There are basically 5 classification of fire extinguishers also, with their letters mentioned on the fire in this coaches that is kept. So you should understand what type of fire extinguishers are to be used. Then we'll study these types. There is a wet chemical extinguisher. It is used on class K fires. Then there is a DCP, which is used on class A, B, C, D fires. A DCP extinguisher has an advantage over CO2 expenditures because they have non-flammable substance powder type, which does not reignite. Then you have water or APW extinguishers, the pressurized air pressure water extinguishers, or the new word is mist extinguishers for them. Water mist or only mist. They have a more capacity of fires for class A only, but they are used. Then there is a foam extinguisher. This is good for A and B both, but foam is kind of thing which is again a bad thing in terms of after the fire has stopped. So foam can be mixed with water. It will have some cooling effect, but it's only preferable for class B fires. Can try on class A fires also, not always. CO2 extinguishers are used for ABC types of fires. So type of extinguisher selection is an important part of this program. Then retarding the spread of fire that we have discussed earlier, material in the coaches, how you have to stop the miscreant and careless activities. That is only public awareness program and monitoring. You must have seen because of this agitation, everyone was requesting people not to burn the property. That is why it is called public awareness. And we have monitored some disaster measures were asked in every zones. Coaches were taken away from open areas to closed areas so that people cannot reach it very easily. You know, when a fire has to start, there will be an ignition, there will be a fuel source, and there will be an oxygen. Unless you remove either of one thing, fire will definitely spread. If you remove oxygen, fire will not spread. If you remove the fuel source, you will not spread. At the point of ignition, if you act quickly, the fire will not spread. Safety of the coaches, we have put this system, we have discussed. Now I think it is there in all the coaches. Then the fire detection and suppression system in pantry and power cars. It is now there everywhere. The retardancy coach is a part of mechanical. I have shown you the table where each and every element classification is defined. These specifications are being revised every day for continual improvement that will have to be updated. Heat release rate, we have shown why how important that cone calorimeter test is. Then for electrical part, you have E-beam irradiated cables. The harness and the layout also has been changed to reduce the joints and junction boxes. The maintenance units or railways are used to ensure proper cables and circuits. The positive negative cable for train lighting should run in separate conduits. I'll just take a call from open line. I'm sorry, I had to leave for some message. मुझे फोन आ गया था. ये तो डीसीपी के फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर था. डबल एक्टिंग डोर्स लगाने हैं कंपार्टमेंट में, ये हमने बात कर ली. ये सब जगह फिटेड होने चाहिए और ये लगने चाहिए. ये हमने बात कर ली है. तरह तरह के फीचर जिससे आग लगती है, लोग इसको पूरा करते हैं, लोग इसमें यहाँ पे फंसा देते हैं. देन इलेक्ट्रिकल शॉर्ट सर्किट्स हो सकते हैं, यू हैव अ ब्लास्ट और अ फायर इन द पावर पॉइंट्स. देन पैसेंजर्स के एमिशन के ब्रेक बाइंडिंग की वजह से भी, हॉट एक्सल की वजह से भी बहुत पैनिक हो जाता है कभी कभी. प्रिवेंटिव मेजर, पैंट्री कार को क्या चेक करना है, फिर उनके मेजर्स कौन कौन आएंगे, फिर टीटी, जीआरपी, आरपीएफ पर्सनल को देखना है कि इस तरह की चीजें ना हो. एक साथ मोबाइल पॉइंट्स ना लगे हुए हैं, लोग इस तरह फंसा ना रहे हों. AC coach attendants must be aware कि linen and bedding should not block the doors because ये emergency measures हैं. Hammer should be available. Passengers should not carry dangerous articles. The doorway, gangway, corridor area should be clear for easy evacuations. OBHS staff should regularly clean and dispose waste of dustbin. The stretcher and first aid box should be good condition and checked periodically. There should be a vigilant policing. There should be publicity campaigns. The helpline should be displayed in every coach. Then you should have posters and padlockings of rails in yards. Then regarding sensitizing passengers not to carry explosive material, two-wheelers should be kept empty in the parcel and the luggage vans. Fire extinguisher should be kept correctly. ये जो bend करके रबर पाइप्स रखा गया है, ऐसे ना रहें. इमरजेंसी विंडो शुड वर्क, उसका इंडिकेशन शुड वर्क. पैंट्री कार्स में स्टव प्लेटफॉर्म क्लीन होना चाहिए, फॉरेन मटेरियल नहीं आने चाहिए. इस तरह से डोरवे ब्लॉक नहीं होना चाहिए, इजी मूवमेंट मिलना चाहिए. इस तरह से बेडरोल नहीं रखना चाहिए. ये डस्टबिन क्लीन होने चाहिए टाइम से, नहीं तो कोई कूड़ा फेंक देगा, फिर आग लग जाती है. इलेक्ट्रिकल स्विच बोर्ड के पास इस तरह के कंबस्टिबल मटेरियल नहीं रखने चाहिए, अननेसेसरली शॉर्ट सर्किट हो और वो कैच फायर कर जाएं. फिर एलपीजी लाइन को ऑफ रखना अगर लगी है तो. अब तो खैर एलपीजी लाइंस हटनी है. देन स्टिकर्स, हेल्पलाइन कैंपेन्स, एक्स्ट्रा प्लगिंग नहीं करें लोग इस तरह से. इंस्पेक्शन के समय देख लें कि इस तरह से कूड़ा इलेक्ट्रिकल पैनल्स में डालने की जगह ना हो. फायर सर्वाइवल केबल्स हैलोजन फ्री वाली इरिमेटेड केबल्स रिप्लेसमेंट में ही लगाई जाएं. मटेरियल्स कैसे हों इसके ऊपर हम ऑलरेडी बात कर चुके हैं. पैंट्री कार इक्विपमेंट की टेस्टिंग कैसे होनी है, फायर फाइटिंग अरेंजमेंट्स की टेस्टिंग कैसे करनी है, कहाँ कहाँ किस तरह के फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर्स रखने हैं, उसकी को जनरली एक सेफ्टी ड्राइव में चेक कर लिया जाए. फायर ट्रेनिंग आप लोग की कराई जाती है, उसकी कॉम्पिटेंसी सर्टिफिकेट्स प्रॉपर एजेंसी से लिए जाएं. और ARTs में जब फायर की प्रिपेयर्डनेस के जो सामान है उसको भी टाइमली चेक किया जाए. उनके पास ही एसेट्स में रहते हैं, उनके पास नए तरह के वाटर मिस्ट और कंप्रेस्ड एयर फोम वाले भी आ रहे हैं, इनको चलाने आना चाहिए. ये नॉन मैग्नेटिक टूल्स होने चाहिए. पता नहीं कितने ART वाले लोग के पास ये वाली चीजें हैं अभी. फिर उनके फायर सेफ्टी अरेंजमेंट खुद भी होने चाहिए, स्पेयर भी होने चाहिए और इजीली विजिबल और एक्सेसिबल होने चाहिए, पर लॉक्ड होने चाहिए. और हर फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर का ऑपरेटिंग, चेकिंग, रिफिलिंग ड्यू डेट्स पे होना चाहिए. आपके स्टाफ को उसको चलाने आना चाहिए, किसी से चलवा के देखिए बार बार. अलार्म और इवैक्यूएशन की टेस्टिंग करते रहिए. इमरजेंसी इक्विपमेंट्स को चेक करिए क्योंकि वही आपके इवैक्यूएशन में हेल्प करते हैं. इसका प्रोसीजर तो खैर अब वीडियो अवेलेबल है, सब लोग जानते हैं। इमरजेंसी टीम साइट्स पे कैसे बनाई जाती हैं, कौन कौन लोग कहाँ कहाँ क्या काम करते हैं, उनकी ड्यूटीज डिफाइन करनी चाहिए। और जो इंस्टेंट एक्शन टीम बनेगी उसको क्या करना चाहिए, उसके लिए एक गाइडलाइन टाइप का हर डिवीजन में इशू होना चाहिए कि उनको उस टीम को क्या क्या चीज़ों को ध्यान रखना है यदि ऐसा कुछ एक्शन होता है। हर स्टाफ के रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज ऑलरेडी डिफाइंड है, उसी में उनको कर लेना चाहिए कि सब लोग के एक्सिस्ट हैं, किसका क्या रोल है। फायर कोचेस के कुछ सैंपल केसेस बात हुए हैं, ये अभी हेतमपुर में झांसी डिवीजन में था। इसमें था फिर वही बात कि डस्टबिन में लेबोरेटरी में किसी ने सिगरेट या बीड़ी डाल दी और फैन लगा हुआ था जिसकी वजह से आग लग गई। ये चीज हुई 26 नवंबर 21 में, यही चीज हुई थी मार्च 21 में देहरादून शताब्दी के केस में। और सब जगह ये कहा जा रहा है कि टॉयलेट से वो डब्बा हटा दिया जाए, उसको भी वहां हटा करके मेटल का डब्बा रखा जाए, FRP का डस्टबिन न रखा जाए और वहां से फैन को रिलोकेट कर दिया जाए। अगर कहीं कोचों में नहीं हो तो उसको ठीक कर दें। नई दिल्ली शताब्दी के लगेज वैन में लगा था, इसके लिए रेलवे RDSO ने ऑलरेडी 1 साल पहले से कह रखा है, इस इंसिडेंट के पहले से, कि कृपया वहाँ LHD केबल्स लगा दें जिससे आग लगे तो कम से कम गार्ड के केबिन में एक सिग्नल आ जाए तो वो रोक सके ट्रेन को। ये सैंपल केसेस हैं, किस किस में क्या हुए थे। ये वो देहरादून शताब्दी का केस है जो डिस्कस करना था। इसके वीडियोस आ गए हैं, आप लोग देख सकते हैं जब जरूरत हो। और प्राइमा फेसी कॉज की वही कि फिर किसी ने वेस्ट बिन में फेंक दिया था और इसलिए टॉयलेट में आग लगी और पूरा कोच जल गया था। ये जो इम्प्रूवमेंट है ये पिछले कई साल से बोले जा रहे हैं और अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम लोग एक्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं। Fire and smoke detection systems in laboratories, proper detection systems, aerosol-based FEs can be used in electrical panels. In any case, मेन वर्ड तो यही है कि सबको अवेयर रहना है, एजुकेट करना है और पब्लिक सपोर्ट जनरेट करना है प्लान्ड वे में, जिससे कि फायर प्रोन मटेरियल और एंटी सोशल एलिमेंट्स और नेग्लिजेंट पैसेंजर्स फायर क्रिएट ही ना कर पाए। जब क्रिएट नहीं होगी तो फायर कंट्रोल बेटर होगी, फैलेगी ही नहीं। ये इनकी स्लाइड थी। आई थिंक आई एम जस्ट गेटिंग ओवर ऑफ द टाइम। अगर किसी को कोई क्वेश्चन पूछना हो तो बता दें। एक अलीपुर द्वार से एमी साहब थे, कौन थे?
यस सर।
फायर सिस्टम्स पे वहां से क्वेरी आई थी आपके यहाँ कि उससे ब्रेक लग जाता है, अभी भी वो प्रॉब्लम है आपके यहाँ?
कुछ कुछ गाड़ी में तो सर एक्चुअली फ्रीक्वेंट प्रेशर ड्रॉप का प्रॉब्लम अभी भी है सर। हमारा हमारा यहाँ पे एक ही कोच है अपना प्राइमरी का, महानंदा एक्सप्रेस, सिक्किम महानंदा एक्सप्रेस, जो रिसेंटली कन्वर्ट हुआ है LHB कोचेस में। तो उसमें आप अब तक 6-7 ओकेशंस ऐसा आया है कि बाहर से, मोस्टली प्रयागराज डिवीजन से कंप्लेन आता है कि फ्रीक्वेंट प्रेशर ड्रॉप एंड ऑटो बिल्ट अप, ये जो इशू है ये हो रहा है, अपना यहाँ पे भी हुआ है। और अपना डिवीजन में सर कामाख्या डिपो का 2-3 रेक है, उसमें ब्रह्मपुत्र मेल एक रेक है, फिर नॉर्थ ईस्ट बोल के एक रेक है। ये 2-3 रेक में ये फ्रीक्वेंट प्रेशर ड्रॉप का इशू आता है सर। लेकिन अभी भी ये सर्टेन नहीं है हम लोग कि वो फायर डिटेक्शन सिस्टम से ही ऑटो ब्रेक लगता है कि नहीं। ये मतलब कोई भी इन्वेस्टिगेशन में ये रिवील नहीं हुआ है कि उसी के चलते हुआ है, जस्ट एक सस्पेक्ट है कि मे बी ड्यू टू दिस कॉज।
Okay. Anyone else who wants to ask questions, or we can just wind up? Shashwat?
Sir. Participants, does anybody have any further questions, please? Especially officers, because I think that this is becoming a more relevant field for those of us. Sir, good morning, sir. Sir, we have just been joined by Mr. Prem Prakash, Deputy CME Production, Jamalpur Workshop, sir. His is the next class. So, good morning, sir, and welcome to the session, please, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, sir. Brijesh, sir, good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
कैसे हैं, sir?
बस बढ़िया. Please continue with your session.
Sir.
We'll talk later. Bye.
Okay.
Sir, I think that that we can.
I will give
take
them break in the
take a
meantime.
break. Have just for nearly 2 hours now.
Saswat.
Sir.